It's very clean, very minimalistic. I don't have to write down 10 different base cards with all the other stuff. It's super clean. And it's very, very robust and dynamic. Guys, what's going on? What's going on? Today I have a React tutorial for y'all. React is a JavaScript framework, and why we use React, let me conceptually break it down for a sec, and then we're going to dive into building a React project real quick, real brief. But React is a JavaScript framework, and JavaScript is amazing. It's the fundamentals of the web, and it's how we build all of these things on the web. These cards, these components, the buttons. If you look into a YouTube channel, sorry guys, I'm pulling up a Lucid chart real quick. So here's a Lucid chart. But so as I was saying, the JavaScript is an amazing, beautiful product. It's a beautiful language for the web because we can build things. We can build, a nice button that logs in. And with this login button, I'll say this is a login button, for instance, right? And this login button needs to do a few things. One, it needs to log in the user, right? So this is logic. This is a bit of JavaScript that goes with it. What else does a login button need? Well, it needs to look pretty. So this would be CSS, right? Needs to look pretty. Let me put that there, boom. What else does it need to do? It needs to be structured, right? So it needs all of these things. I don't know if I spelled that right. I don't think it did, but that's okay. We're flying through a tutorial concept. So we need all of these things in our JavaScript to build this. So we need a bit of JavaScript right here. We need, sorry guys, trying to cruise on through this. I don't know why it's up. We need a bit of CSS, and it needs to be structured. So we also need a bit of HTML. And what React kind of does, it bundles all, oops, we hit the limit of shapes here, but what it does is it bundles all of these things, the JavaScript element, the CSS element, the HTML element, and it allows us to build this login button. And we call this login button, it is called a component. So this component now exists in React's ecosystem because of the JavaScript framework. Guys, I'm gonna need to delete a few shapes, hold on. Let me delete some of these real quick. But we have this login button, and this login button, I'm gonna delete actually a few more. Let's delete. Sorry, I was building a ton of blockchain concepts. So if you haven't seen the blockchain series, it is amazing. But okay, so these three elements back in React, we have JavaScript bundled up with CSS, with HTML, and these three things are building our login button. So let's get this off the screen, because now we assume that those three things are all pushed into this button. This button is now called a component. And in React, we can make more repeatable components over and over and over. So if we need a log out button, we just literally copy the component, we change the text a little bit, maybe the data function, and you can build a ton of buttons real quick, like very, very, very quick. So then we can also build, maybe we have a buy product button. And because we're in a React ecosystem, I can create these buttons very quick and then replicate them very quick. And that's why it's such a powerful thing. But if we just remained in a JavaScript ecosystem, let me show you guys, let's bring back our JavaScript, if you will. If I just did this in the JavaScript ecosystem, I would have to build it here. If I wanted a buy button, right? I'd have to build it here like this. I would have to build this time in and time out for each button. We're out of shapes again. But I would have to, every time, build out the JavaScript, build out the CSS, build out the HTML. But again, because React being as amazing as it is, we bundle all three of these things in what's called a component, and then we can just copy the component over and make new components for each button we need. If we need a logout button, we need a buy product button, and it applies for all things, right? Maybe we're not building a button, but maybe it's a card, like a informational card. So info card. We would then just build this info card one time as one component, and then maybe we use this card again not only for information, but it's also a disclaimer card for the website. Maybe there's disclaimers that the user needs to read before purchasing a product, and then maybe there's also product cards, right? Like something that shows the product. So we can just pull one component and just change these data bits, and we can copy them over and over and over again. So let's go ahead and build for that. For starters, let's open up our project. So I opened up my terminal, and all I've done so far is let's get out of this Lucidchart, and all I've done is just initialize a blank folder and drop it into. Excuse me. All I've done is just initialize. Let me just figure out this terminal deal real quick. Okay, perfect. So all I've done is just initialize a React folder, and I've dropped it into my VS Code project. What I meant to do was resize the folder. So I've just dropped it in, just initialized a VS Code project. Let me zoom in for y'all. Oop, a little too much zoom. And in my terminal, I'm going to say npm create react-app./ And what this is going to do, I might fast forward in a moment, but what it's going to do, it's going to do our npm package. So we need Node installed on our computer. You guys should have Node installed. If you do not have Node, please Google Node.js. I will keep this in the description as well. There will be a link to this website, and you want to download this on your computer. Make sure you have Node installed on your computer. Otherwise, that npx step may not work. So we can see that it's loading and downloading all the packages, but we need these two things. We need VS Code and we need Node for sure. Let me move this recording slider real quick. The next thing I want to do while this is loading is I want to go to my extensions, and in my extensions, I want to look for React snippets. And React snippets, you could pick any of them, but the one I use is this one by Burke Holland. So you can install this, and it's just going to allow for us to build React components very, very, very quickly with a few key commands. So that is definitely one thing you want. There's also a React extension on your browser you may want to consider downloading. Let me look that up real quick. So React browser extension, React extension, React Developer Tools is what I believe it's called. And we can download this and use this for React components. You may want to consider that as well. So I'll have all those links in the description for VS Code, Node, React Developer Tools, and then this will not be in the description. But make sure that you download the snippets as your extension tool. Okay, great. So it looks like that our browser has finished downloading React. Let's open up our sidebar, and I'll click on the Explorer, and let's look at our folder structure. We have no music going. I'll leave that for now. Let's not have music for this bit. Let's break down our project. So we have our SRC folder. This is where a majority of our stuff is going to exist is in the SRC folder. So let me exit out of the terminal. Let's click on our app.css. You can see there's a lot of pre-configured CSS that comes with React. We have our app.js. This is where a lot of our main application is going to be routed through. Then we have a few test cases, a test that's built. We have an index.css. There's a few things. In index.js, this is where our app is ultimately constructed. So if we need to wrap our application with providers or anything like this, we would do it here. We have the logo, which is a React logo. You could see that. We have the report web vitals. Some of these things aren't necessary to development, but they come pre-configured with React. The biggest things that we want to consider is the app.js and app.css. And you can see the other things. We can have our README, we have gitignore. This is what comes pre-configured with React. So they give us quite a bit right out of the box. Let me pop open the terminal. So I just pressed command terminal, and I'm going to say npm run start. Oh, not start G. npm run start, and it is going to fire off a React server for us, and I've got actually a open window right here on the right. So you can see it's firing off localhost 3000 for us. And we're going to see just this static React application. You can see I'm getting some team syncer stuff. We'll ignore that for right now. That has to do with PWA stuff. But this is our React application. We are looking at this right now, right here. And this is all the bits. Let me close the sidebar. I'll press Command B.
Oh God.
And you could see that we have this header tag, and it has all these things. We have our image right here, which is the logo. So if I remove this, you could see the DOM update. We remove the logo. If I want to bring that back in, press save. You could see the logo's back. If I delete the P tag, you could see we remove the P tag. If I do the A tag and the P tag, let's just delete it all. We just have the floating React image. It looks kind of cool. But you can see this is where our application can start being constructed and built. We can build pages from this. We can build a lot of things. But what I wanted to show you guys, now that we've done a bit of a brief intro of React, and I want to show you guys how to build these components, or one way to build these components. So in the app.js, I'm going to delete the header. Let's just remove all this. So it's just a complete empty blank page. I'll remove this line 1, import the logo. I'll just remove it. I'll open up this div and I'll say hello world, just to make sure that our DOM is responding. And you can see, boom, it pops up right here. Hello world. If yours is not doing this, please stop at this step and configure it. Make sure you've pressed save. Make sure your terminal is running. If you've done npm run start, make sure all these things are configured. Okay, great. So I'm going to go to our source folder, our SRC. I'm going to right click and press new folder. And I'm going to label this folder components. We could label it whatever, but I'm labeling it components because this is where I'm going to store my components. And just in that concept, I showed you guys in the Lucidchart how there's buttons, there's information cards. We're going to build both of those. We're going to build a button that is reusable, and then we're going to build a reusable card where the information gets passed into the card. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and, well, maybe we won't do both. Maybe we'll just do the information card. And I think that'll be easiest to understand if we just do the card. So let's start with just the card, actually, and then down the road, I'll do maybe a deeper dive into React. So in this components folder, meant to get us a haram in there. But in this components folder, I'm going to say base card. And the reason why I said base is it's just a habit from Vue that I've developed is all of their components, they prefix them with card, or excuse me, with base. So if I was going to build a button, I would say base and then button. If I was going to build a footer, I would say base footer or the footer. It's a Vue ecosystem thing, but I've brought that habit into my front end development with all frameworks. So I will prefix it as base card, and I'll say .tsx. That's for a TypeScript component. If we want to use .tsx, we actually probably want to do .jsx. So let's do .jsx for this. It looks like we're all JavaScript here, so I'll just keep it in JavaScript. And because we have React snippets as an extension, I could press RFCE, and you can see I get this React functional component snippet. If I press enter, I get the entire thing built out for me. It takes the title, it prefixes it with function, it invokes the function, it opens up this curly bracket for us, it exports it all for us, and it imports React for us as well. So that's why those snippets are so effective, because boom, in 4 characters, I can build out a whole component, or at least the beginning steps, the template for a component. So in this base card component, and if your snippet's not working, don't worry. Just go ahead and write this down. The import React from React, function base card, invoke it, and make sure you have your return statement with your parentheses. And we have this base card. So in this base card component, I can write whatever I want. but I'll leave it as base card right here. Not a big deal. I just press save and you can see that prettier reformatted it for me. But I want to make sure that this component exists. So what I do, I will keep base card up on the right, or I will go back to my app.js, and in my app.js, I will import base card, and I will say from dot slash. We need to go to the components folder, the one that we just built. And then we also need to say slash one more time and say base card. And this is us importing the component into this file here, into app.js. So if I remove the hello world, right? So I want to add the base card right here. So let me open that up. I'll open it up with the angle bracket, and then I'll close it. And boom, right here. You could see that the base card component is in here, and we can now see the text from the base card. So we've connected both the base card component and our page where we're using the base card. So I'll keep it on the right, and you can see right here on line 4, I can write whatever I want. And because this base card is being rendered on the app page, we can now see that component being rendered here. So if I write hello world on the app page, it doesn't change the base card contents. I can delete the base card out of here, and hello world exists on the app page. So let's get that base card back in there. Let's erase line 7 of hello world. That was just to show that point. I'm going to drag this base card next to the app.js, and we're going to work on this. So these components are really powerful because we have these things called props. And props are data that we can pass down. If I pull up a Lucidchart one more time, it's data that I can reuse. And it's really, really important for us to understand props, because that's the biggest use case for components, is these things we call props, passing props. So if we have a component here, we can change the text between these components. Similar to what I said earlier, we have that login button, and then we have a logout button. Effectively, let's remove all the CSS ideas. Let's remove everything else, all the functionality of logging in and logging out. Let's just focus on the text. The text alone are different. But this is a component, our square login and our square logout buttons. And what we could do with props is pass in different data. So I can pass in login to this component, and it'll show up on the screen as login. And then over here in the same component, I can pass in logout, and it'll show up as logout. So let's kind of break down the data flow real quick. I'm going to delete the logout button. Here's our end product. I'm going to kind of set it up like this, where we have our base card component, and our base card component, let's just say for ease of case, we haven't built very much, but all it does is just return text. So that's all our base card component does. And then all we're doing here in this line, so step 1 is build the component. And then we build a line. Oops. We build a line right here that is going to the next step. And this next step is to log in. In other words, I want the text that the base card returns to equal login. And then on the way out, we have one more step. This is what gets produced because we've set it up as such, the login button, or in this case, just login text. But that's how the data should flow. And then we can take the same base card element and we can build a logout button simply by just changing the text. So if I change the text here, this is now what's going to be produced. Oh, we've ran out of shapes again, inconveniently. But what gets produced is a logout button. So let me delete this. And what gets produced because of these props and the component we built is a logout button. So let's go ahead and build for that. So first we need the component, then we can pass it props, and then the props get rendered on the page. So this is where I say I can write whatever I want. Let's demo this in real time. So I'll say right here, we can name the props whatever we want to, but just make sure you name it relevant to the data you're doing. So I will say text, because that's the data that we wanted to change. And in this statement, we need to pass this function this property. I will go ahead and go up here and I will say angle brackets, and then I will pass in text. And you can see that removes the red line that we had. But we should also pass the text in now whenever we use the base card. So let me show you guys how to do that. So right now we have nothing showing on the screen because we have no text, right? Remember earlier it said this is text, or I can write whatever I want. So there it is again. But now we're passing in this variable that has nothing in it right now. And this is all the meat and potatoes. This is all the buzz around React is you could pass in the same thing that you named your property, the thing that you need, the text. You could pass this in as what's called a property right here. And then I could say equals, and I can now put this in a curly bracket. And with the quotes, because I'm going to give a little more space here. With the quotes, I can write whatever I want. And these texts will pop up on the screen. But here's the magical part. If I want another base card or another line of text, I could just copy this base card down and I could write a new line of text. And boom, it instantly pops up over here on the right. And you can see how quickly you could now imagine if we built out these really robust components with a lot of information, a lot of data. All you need to do is just pass in props to them and they magically get updated instantaneously. We could do this 100 times and boom, it'll build out all these components every time. So this is why React is so powerful, is this idea of props. And we can create the props however we want. So really nail that, really get that down, is put something here and label it whatever you want. Again, this label of text is only relevant because I'm calling it text. But let's say we're building a business card component and I want to put on a phone number. Well, then I need to label it phone number. I need to accept phone number as a prop. And then I also need to, when I use it in the base card component, I need to call it phone number right here. And obviously, instead of it being text, this would be, a phone number 123-456-7890, and we should see it pop up on the screen. So we're only calling it phone number because it helps us humans understand it. But you could label this phone number prop, if you will, literally whatever you guys want. You could label it all of these random letters. Just make sure all the random letters line up in all three of these spots. And let's refresh. It should still pop up. Boom, there. I just needed to save on both files. But so your props can be whatever you want. And I know it looks bad, obviously in code, but I just wanted to prove that point. So let's go back to text. Let's go back to this, and I'll change this to this is some text. And make sure I save everywhere. Make sure I save in the card. Make sure I save in the app.js. Let's build out some CSS for this card. So I'm going to close out of the app.js now that we kind of have some idea of how all this stuff works. Let's go ahead and close out of app.js and let's go into our base card.jsx. So this class name, I want to build some sort of class name. So I'll say card class or just card. That's fine too. I'm going to press Command P and I'm going to go to my CSS file. So I can go to my app.css And you can see at the bottom here, let me get some space away from my head in the bottom corner here. And I'll say dot, of course, card. Let's go ahead and build out some of this. So gray, I'm actually going to make it a little bit lighter. I'll say border radius. What do we want to say? 18 pixels. I'll say box shadow, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixel RGBA. Oh, my IntelliSense was helping me. 0, 0, 0, 0.2. That works. I'll say padding. We'll say, what do we want for the up and down axis? Maybe 4 rem, and for the left and right axis, maybe we want 8 rem. So it's a really, really big card a little bit. And I think that'll almost do it. We want display. We'll say flex. I'll say justify. Guys, and all this code will be in the description below. So I'll say align items center, justify content center, just to get us something, and style your card as you want, right? And I saved, you could see we automatically popped up. So let's see, it's taking up the full width though. Let's not do that. Let's actually do width, let's say 200 pixels or so, just to give us this like card feel. What else I want to do is go to the app, and we have text align center. What I want to say is display, display flex, justify content center, items, align items, center. And that should, and then we need a little bit of height. So I could say 100% for the whole page. I think that should give us some height. Why is that not doing that? 100 VH. How's that? Viewable height. So now our card is in the middle of the page, and this will be great. This is a perfect component to show you guys how data can change. So I exited out of the app.css. In our class name card, all we're passing right now is text. So actually, let me go back to the CSS, the app.css file. I'm going to go to the bottom of the page, and I'm going to add one more bit and say margin 0.5 rem. We just want these cards to be separate from each other. So I'm just going to add that bit of CSS. And let's see. So here we go. I can open up this text, and we can add more text things. So I can go ahead and build this out more, just as we know how to build HTML elements. So I'll open up a div, and maybe this will be a title for the card. And then I'll also have a div below it, and this is where I'll put the text, is in between that div. So now we have a title to our card. You can see it popped up here. We obviously want that title on top, so we need to go back to our CSS. And then I want the title to be a little bit larger too. So I'm going to add a class to the title. I'll say card dash title. And then in the div, I'll say class name card dash text. Let's style it up as well, I guess. We'll go to app.css. So I press Command P, go to app.css, say card dash title, and let's build a title. So I'll say font size larger. Let's get that thing a little bit bigger. We'll say font, what is it? Font weight. We want bold. And yeah, that's fine. That'll work. And let's do card text. Let's go ahead and make this font size. We'll say medium or small. Looks like it is medium, so we'll say small. That's fine. And then maybe we want opacity 75 or 75%. There it is. Okay. So now we kind of have like this big title, then a little bit of text beneath it, and that's perfect. Let's go back to our card, and we'll say our card class, and I'll say display, flex, and then we want flex direction, column. And now we could see that we have this title to our card, and then we have text below it. So what I could also do is say text align start. Let's kind of build or go to our card title. Let's see if we can build this width to be 100% and get these things to the left so it looks like a card. Say width 100% again on the card text. So we kind of have this card text, right? And maybe we can actually affect the padding where it's not such large padding left and right. So we'll say two padding or 4 rem all the way around, right? Or let's half everything. We'll do 2 on the front and then 4 on the next bit of padding. So we have, or excuse me, no, I've got that backwards. Let's do 2 and 1, where it's a little taller, a little less wide. Scratch that, guys. Forgive me. We'll just do 1 rem. We'll just do 1 rem. Keep it easy, right? So we have our card. We have our card with a title, and this is some text. We also want to have a custom prop for the title. So let's open up the page that we're using this prop. I'm going to close out of app.css. And I have app.js on the left, and I'll have my base.card on the right. So app.js, let me copy this line down, line 7, and I'll build another card. And you can see how we have another card that just generates right away. And I can change the text. I could say like more text, more data, whatever it needs to be. You could see it shows 2 different components now. And I could do this again and again and again, and we can keep building as many components as we need. Now, obviously, they're all getting stacked left and right, so we need to go to our app.js or app.css one last time. Sorry, guys. App.css, and we can go to app, display flex, and we want to add flex direction column, and that'll stack these cards up and down. So I close that app.css, and let's get back to our app.js, and I can add another card. I can say card 3, right, with whatever information it needs to be, card 4. And you can see how quickly I'm building these cards, these information cards. Maybe it has a ton of text and dialogue between these cards that you need to show. Now, the next bit we want to add is that title. So I can come to my base card over here. I can actually just write this as curlies and say title. And we're gonna get an error. It's gonna break the application because there is no title being passed in. But what I need to do is go to the function base card, and I need to pass in a title inside of this function. And it doesn't give us a title quite yet. It just gives us the opportunity to put a title into this component, right? Oh God. Right. So so the biggest thing we want to do is put base card back on app.js. We want to add what is called another prop. So here's my title. I can now open it with curlies, say equal, open to curlies, add a parenthesis, or excuse me, quotes. And I could say, let's get some card titles. Let's think about it. So I'll say Ryan Pags, that's me. This is some text for me, right? Maybe it's like some business card or something, right? Maybe this is a informational card on the product. So we'll say maybe I'm selling vacuums, right? So vacuum 5,000, right? Whatever it is, it's a great vacuum. Oh, that's the text. Excuse me, guys. So let's write a description in the text in a moment, but let's write a title here. And you can see on the right, it'll update live. So I'll say vacuum 5,000. Maybe it's a vacuum company that I'm selling. This is better than Dyson, but maybe it's a vacuum company where I'm selling these vacuum products, and I want to pass in the information associated to this card, if you will. Let's say card 3. Maybe this is our. Maybe I have a cleaning company, and this is our window cleaner thing. Window cleaner, boom. So I have a title for the window cleaner, and this is, we'll say, built with premium chemicals, right? Just as dummy text. And you can see it's updating as we're building these things, right? And I'll remove the 4th card. We don't need that one. But what I can now do, let's say we need a photo, if we need more product description, if we need a price. So for this, right, I've got a card with my name, but on the right, maybe we need to add a price. So I'll say class name, card text. I just copied that down. And maybe we need a property that is a price property. So I'll just write price. It now breaks the application. So what do? Next step. I will go press comma. I will add price to the function here and what needs to be passed in. And then I can now add that to the base card. So let me close out a base card. This is what we're looking at. I've got my base card component, and I can put this price either here, doesn't matter. But what's important is I put it somewhere in this component. So I'll say price. Maybe it's $12, right? Or $12,000. It's a very expensive vacuum. It's our premium product. It's $1,200. This vacuum is better than Dyson. And you can see that data instantly gets updated onto the card. And then I can add it here for this one as well. So maybe it's a window cleaner, and maybe this one is $49.99, right? So I can have these packets of data that render the cards right away. And we're actually going to do one more step. Not render the cards, render the components. So these cards are components, and we can make whatever components we want. If we need buttons, if we need headers, footers, video screens, images, we need action items like a login, log out thing. We can build this all with a component. So, but I want to show you one thing that takes things to a little bit of a cleaner, streamlined level, is building these things with data. So what I want to do, instead of repeating myself and copy down all these cards, right? Because what if I need 1,000 cards, right? I'm lazy, guys. I'm a software engineer. I don't want to write 1,000 of these and come back and hand type them. And when the product gets updated, I need to update it and say $109.99 for this product. I don't want to do that because I'm a software engineer. We got to think smarter. So what I'll do is say, let's maybe remove the Ryan Pags text, because maybe these are product cards. I think that's a fair direction we're heading for this tutorial, right? So let's get one more product real quick, and I'll show you exactly what I need to do. So this product, I'm looking on my desk for items. I'll say keyboard 2000, right? This is better than Yamaha's keyboard, right? Whatever the description is, and it's $100. So we have these three products, and instead of me doing this every time and copying them down, but guys, nail this step before you move on to this next step. Nail this step. Nail this where you're getting the props, the price, the text. I would even say add a product date or something at it. Add your own property that you can come up with before doing this next step. Add your own thing and then come back to this next step. So whether it's price, title, text, maybe add when the product was added, like product date or product expiration or something. Discount. Maybe add a discount code, right? And put that in your component. Like test yourself, build on this, guys. So add a discount code or add a like where to buy property. And you could say like online, right? You could say Wisconsin, like wherever it is. Like add a new property, and I want you guys to put it on your card, and then move to this next step. Okay. And the prop could be whatever. It could be whatever you want. Color, quantity, something, some do property. But this next step I want to show you guys is how to do it in a data fashion, how to produce tons of components easily, just based on the data. So I will say const product data, and then I could say equals, and I'll make an array. And then this is where all of my products are going to be built. So I will open an object in this array, and I will say price, and then I will put my price here. Instead of me putting it in the component, I will put it up here. So I will say $100 ... or .00, excuse me. Then I'll move on to my next prop. So instead of me putting my title down here, I will say title equals this, and name your title of the product, keyboard 2000, and then text will say this is better than Yamaha's keyboard, right? So we have one object of one of our products. Let's now do it one more time. So I'll copy this down. And let me just highlight this stuff and copy it in. So boom, copy, vacuum 5000, copy, paste, right? Guys, work smarter, not harder. Copy, paste, copy, paste. And boom, let's paste that in. Let's paste that description in. Let's copy one more product down of the data we want. It'll make sense in a moment. Hold on. You guys got to do the steps. Do the steps. So price $49.99. Let's copy and paste. Let's get the window cleaner. And boom, window cleaner title. And let's get that description in. Come on now. Come on now. Boom. Oh, I missed that T, so I'll delete it. Built with premium chemicals. And here's the fun part. We can now delete these two cards. We have our data up here, our product data. And this is where it gets interesting, guys. So we have all of our product data. Let's close the product data. And this is where the boys become the men. This is where the girls become the gals, folks. Do the open curlies, paste in your product data, and we will say .map. And we're going to map through all these bits. So I will say product here. Sorry, guys, ignore all that text for a moment. And then I will say index, and then I will arrow function into what I'm going to arrow function into? Our base card. Boom. And you can see we have a warning right here. And this is my Console Ninja, so ignore this. Each child requires a unique key prop. So all we're going to do is say key equals index, or you could do a product ID, one of the two, but index is fine. And now instead, this product, do you see how we have three of these things? We have three keyboards, but how? We're only rendering one base card. No, but we're showing three items from here, and we're mapping through each one of these, and we're showing each object on the screen. All we now need to do is change this. Instead of hard coding price in there, say product dot price, and boom, you can see that bit of data gets changed. It's dynamically being rendered. So I'll say product dot title here in my prop, and then I'll say product dot text. And now we have all three of our items back. Look how clean it is, right? It's super clean. It's a very clean setup, right? If I remove the data, it's very clean, very minimalistic. I don't have to write down 10 different base cards with all the other stuff. It's super clean, and it's very, very robust and dynamic. If I need to add a new product, now all I do is just copy this down, add a new product. 129, maybe this is our green window cleaner, our green clean, built with the most super premium chemicals. And all I need to do is just change the data here, and you can see that card gets automatically rendered, and I can do it again and again and again, and I get all of this updates right instantly. So the reason why it's like this, and really you're not going to be, as a front-end engineer, you're not going to be the one controlling all this data majority of the time. You are not going to be the person doing that. This is going to be data you get from the back end, and it's your job to show it on the front end. So that's why I separated as you need to have a data bit, and then you can show it through your components. So make sure you guys iron out your data separate from your products. This is a huge introduction to React. And guys, thank you so much for watching. It's a really good way to build components and to be data oriented. So please keep that in mind. Go crazy with it. Build some buttons, build things associated with data in your own way, and do it this way. Do it this way where you have your data separate from your components, and you map through your components to show them on the screen. It's a really, and I'm telling you, from doing it at an enterprise company, doing it professionally on contracts, doing it for paid work, TypeScript performing things, it's amazing to do it this way. So I am going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. All the code and the links for everything is in the description. I will see you on the Tailwind tutorial soon. Cheers.